show me again?
Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the GuildMag podcast. And if you're listening to the intro, you just heard Ali speak over it.
In my defense, he was talking to me while I assumed that it wasn't going on that I could speak. But no, I'm very sorry to speak over your lovely music, guys.
So yeah, welcome to episode 14. We are back this week after a brief 1 week little break we had. And we're going to be talking about the Seeds of Truth patch that has just dropped and everything that's come along with it. So yeah, should we just dive straight into this week's news before we get on with the show?
Let's dive in like a freaking dolphin, baby. So the news is the Seeds of Truth patch has dropped, or episode has dropped, which is awesome. And leave my hands alone, mate. And the other news is there's a ton of stuff in the gem store. There's new Griffin mail couriers and Winter's Day items and minis are back, which is awesome. And the Gather Aratrons, which are the Logotrons and the Minotrons, are still in the gem store from last week, but we didn't get a chance to talk about last week. And that's really the news. Anything else we're going to talk about in the patch today? Talk about in the show today.
Absolutely. So yeah, don't forget you guys can share your opinions as we're going along. And if you're not watching this live, we are of course live every Thursday, 10 AM GMT on twitch.tv/GuildMag. So let's go for it then.
All right. So let's talk about the Seeds of Truth patch because that's the big thing that happened. So I'm going to do a quick story recap. So this will contain spoilers. So if you haven't done it, just be wary of that. In my opinion, the spoilers aren't that big of a deal. So, you know, if you still want to stay here and listen to us, I think that's perfectly fine. But anyway, let's continue with this. So basically, this episode starts off with us going to the Pale Tree because, as you know, last week Caithe took our egg and bolted, and so we want to try and find out where Caithe is. So we're going to go to the Pale Tree for a little bit of background information. So we go to the Pale Tree, and the Pale Tree is actually having a lucid moment, which is great. So she's not completely unconscious anymore. She's coming in and out, which is very convenient for us. And so we talk to the Pale Tree for a little bit of background knowledge, and the Pale Tree is like, I'm too tired to do this, guys. And she gives us these memory seeds, and basically we can get the information we need through visions of case memories if we put them in the right spot. So what we do is we take the seeds and we go to the grove and we find a spot where the seeds can be planted. And the first vision we see is basically Caithe as a firstborn when the second wave of Silvari came out, the secondborn, as Traherne calls them, when they came out, and we see, you know, we experience, because we are actually being Caithe in this, you know, we're experiencing memories through her as an entity. So we experience the firstborns talking about the secondborn, and we go through all this, and it's really cool. I really like, it's kind of a really good way to give us background knowledge, and I should really stop doing this with my hands because I'm getting a lot of breeze on myself. I feel like a bird. I'm about to take off. But yeah, so we get a lot of information about the Silvari, which we're going to talk about a bit down the line, especially the firstborn and all that. And we also discover, which is not news to a lot of us, that the Azura have been kidnapping Silvari and experimenting on them. And Fallon and Caithe take it upon themselves to go and free the sprouts from being all the newly born Silvari from being...
just imagine, you know, sprout you eat at Christmas, just to be tested on by Azura there.
The little potted plant. So yeah, so we go and save them as her, which is this awesome kind of instance where it's kind of like this sneaking around. Some people have likened it to for what's it called, Metal Gear or something like that. So it's kind of really cool sneaking around, being Caithe and all stealthy like. Anyway, so we rescue the Sylvari, and then Fallon kind of convinces Caithe, which is us, while we're playing this, that we need to go to the Silver Wastes to find Wynn, who's a fellow Firstborn, because apparently Wynn knows something. Fallon overheard Wynn talking to the Pale Tree, and she knows something really important, and Fallon, being Fallon, needs to know now. So they travel to the Silver Wastes together, and Fallon is just really awful. She's being racist towards the centaurs. She's saying, that they're just animals, and and the centaurs are not taking it very nicely, and Fallon's being very aggressive to Wynn, who is almost like family to these centaurs, and it eventually starts up this horrible altercation, which ends up Fallon and Caithe have to defend themselves from the centaurs, even though they technically started it, and we end up massacring an entire village of centaurs. And poor Wynn is feeling really horrible about this, because these were her friends and they were trying to protect her, and she just freaks out, man. I would freak out too, and she runs off into the ruins that we saw in the trailer, and we're kind of left. We come out of our trance and we're kind of left, and we're going, well, what do we do now? And that's where the story ends for this episode. So yeah, so that is the lore recap. I'm just quickly trying to read through our chat, because I always talk forever and I never get a chance to read through the chat. But yes, I just hopefully the spoiler alert didn't bother anyone. Someone said there should be a spoiler alert on the screen so you can unmute the stream. I'll wave my hands like this. It's done. No, it's not done actually.
Basically,
that was
the whole
terrible.
episode is like just gonna be spoiler filled.
Yeah. Yes. So that was the story recap, and some really cool points that I just wanted to mention were just how much we get to experience the Sylvari that we don't normally get to see, the way that the Firstborn and the Secondborn acted, and we really see, like, I don't think if a lot of people know how awful the Sylvari are. They're very no, sorry, that's awful. That's how I did sound really awful, but no, how childlike the Sylvari are. They're very insensitive, and they will say things and do things without consideration, not because they're evil, but because they haven't been taught consideration. And we see this so clearly in this instance. For example, the Firstborn, you can see the way that the Secondborn react to the Firstborn, because the Firstborn are like, why are they talking about us? Why aren't we being involved in any discussion about ourselves? Because they know that the Firstborn are talking away from the Secondborn. They're treating them like a different species, deciding their future for them. And the Secondborn are a little bit like miffed by this, and I would be too. And it kind of... And if you know the story about the Nightmare Court, you know that Kadrian, I think that's how you say his name, actually started the Nightmare Court, not Fairland, because he was Secondborn, and he was really angry that the Mother Tree wouldn't talk to him. And, Caithe didn't make this any better, because she goes, you're only Secondborn, you're not Firstborn, so the Mother Tree is not going to talk to you. Psh. And, you really see this attitude coming out in this instance. And also with the way that Traherne calls them Secondborn. And Wynn is probably the most sensitive of all of them. She has a very good understanding of how people feel, and she goes, it doesn't send the right message when you call them Secondborn. That's a terrible name for them. And Traherne keeps on calling them Secondborn, even though she points it out. They're very, they're a lot better now, because that was the start. That's when they were first awakened, and now it's been quite a while since then. But at the start they were very selfish, and I really like that. That was a really cool point that they really pointed out, and it was nice to see all the Sylvari when they were at the start. So yeah, I think that was a very good recap of that. I hope it was.
Excellent recap.
Yay!
So shall we move on to kind of our opinions of it then? So I'll kick things off then. I actually even now, because I was playing this last night before the podcast, I'm still not entirely sure what actually kicked off the Centaurs against Fowlin and Caithe. Like, do you know what actually like started it? Because I know like we weren't being the most gracious people to them.
I remember because when the for some reason the Centaur's like, Caithe, I'll have a word with you now, and you go into the thing, and I'm like, who am I to this guy? Like, why would he want a word with me? He's never met me. How does he even know my name? And I think that's actually explained in the instance, but I remember that, and I remember him pulling him into cover hole, and I thought, this is Aina being smart, because we're pulled into the cubby hole and it's really hard to see around the corner. But I knew what like Internet was doing it. They were making it so that we couldn't see what was going on between Win and Fairlane. But I like shimmied my character back as much as I could so I could see Fairlane, but I couldn't see Win. But I saw Fairlane, and you see Win just standing there like out of combat pose and you see Fairlane in combat pose, and then all of a sudden, you know, Win cries out, and that goes on. So they wanted to kind of leave it ambiguous, but it's totally not ambiguous. You know, Fairlane is not a very lovely person.
She's just misunderstood, Kaysee.
No,
we've been over this.
No, there's no. You just know, okay? She's not a nice person. She's a horrible person. This is Fairlane. There's a bit of leeway for Caithe.
Okay, well, okay.
So, yeah. Sorry, go on. I kind of interrupted your opinion. Go ahead.
So, I mean, yeah, I felt really sorry for killing all those centaurs. I think, we weren't on Skype at that point. We were on Skype later on, but I was just like, why am I doing this? Like,
yeah.
Going around killing them all.
Yeah. I felt the same. I was sitting here going, this feels wrong. Like, I don't want to do this. Don't make me do this.
Yeah, I think... I mean, I like that that's, like, from, like, a gameplay point of view, that's, like, an aspect to it. Like, you feeling bad, and it's not just all, like, you're told how you're meant to feel, if that makes sense. You're
not the hero all the way through.
Yeah, it's a really nice change. And I like the overall... like gameplay of going through Caithe's past memories, and I thought it was quite cool how it transitioned between you and Caithe, and but yeah, I felt really sorry for Win and the centaurs, obviously, who kind of died. But yeah, but I mean, I know you don't like Caithe, but I actually do really like her as a character. I think looking back to like in the books, I think maybe she was probably a bit different in the books than she is in the actual game. I think in the book she seems a bit more innocent than maybe she is in game. But I don't know. I like Caithe more than you do, put it that way. So I felt kind of worse, I guess. Whereas I guess you were just like, oh, it's Caithe just killing some centaurs, like.
Yeah, when I was going through it, I was like, I really do not like you, Caithe. I didn't enjoy... I mean, they're meant to make you feel like, you know, like, oh, poor Caithe, you know, like, this is awful for happened to her, but I was like, stupid Caithe, let's do this. I was really, like, bitter towards her, that was definitely for sure.
I felt...
And I think that was expressed because everyone was saying Caithe was OP, and I kept on dying as Caithe, and I swear she was doing it on purpose, man. Like, I could not get that character class right.
I just felt really bad that, like, she was kind of forced to kill the centaurs. It was kind of like her and Fowlin or them, basically. So I don't know. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's just put in bad situations by Fowlin.
Yeah, I think the difference between us two is like I think that she's a bad person because she doesn't make a choice. Like, she just goes along with the flow and does awful things because, oh, Phelan's my girlfriend, so that's like, that's fine. I'll do whatever Phelan tells me to do because that's what happens. Because Phelan's being the biggest... I have to calm myself down. Being the most awful person in the world, and she's like, you think so? And just goes along with it. And I'm like, Caithe, you're a strong, independent woman. You don't have to do this. But anyway, I'll calm myself down. I'll just quickly say in our chat that Synchrony, I'm terrible with names, guys. I'm so sorry. That said that, yeah, that part felt almost Mass Effect-y. I liked the moral ambiguity, although it's not particularly ambiguous. It felt awful. I agree. It didn't feel nice.
Yeah.
So I agreed very much with you, I think. Not on the Caithe liking thing, but everything else.
I'll convert you to you and Caithe will be besties before the end of this episode.
No way, Jose. It's not just if you do. I think it's with the women. If you decide that you don't like someone, you just can't change your mind over a freaking podcast episode.
Yeah.
She needs to do something to impress me, and I'm not easily impressed. Okay. There's my inner sass coming out. Anyway, before the viewers think I'm an awful person.
Should we move on then?
Yep. That sounds good. So we'll just move on to the new area. There's actually a new area that was added in Silver Waste called Dry Dock, and it's a really funny name, but it makes sense when you get there because the Skrit are actually amassing there. This is kind of like the Skrit community of the area, and they're amassing there to create SS Topsy Turvy, which is an upside down ship, and it's a ship that reminds me very much of the abandoned Orion ships in Kershaw. This one has been turned upside down, and the Skrit are
trying to build it.
I think I'm channeling Sean Connery in there. But the Skrit are basically decking out this ship to live in, I guess, not to sail away because they're building it upside down. They're doing it completely wrong. But it's very cute to see, and there's actually the reason why this area is really popular is because there's a new jumping puzzle in there, and this is a good jumping puzzle on the quality lines of the Aether Blade jumping puzzle, and it is just so well designed. I'm yet to meet a person that was like, I hate that jumping puzzle. Everyone I've talked to have been like, it's the best thing Aether has done in years, that sort of thing. So yes, I should just say in chat, guys, if you want to let us know how you felt about the jumping puzzle, that'd be great. So this jumping puzzle is really special because it's actually got some new designs in it. It kind of mimics SAB in a tiny way because it actually has checkpoints. And so there's 9 checkpoints, and you have to go through every checkpoint to open the chest at the end because they don't want you to just be ported, that sort of thing. So there's 9 checkpoints, and you have to go through all of them. But the awesome thing is that there's a little kit at the bottom. Kit is a baby Skrit. The little kit at the bottom. If you talk to him, you can pay him money, and he'll teleport you to checkpoints. If you pay him a copper, he'll teleport you to the third last checkpoint you passed. You pay him a silver, he'll teleport you to the second one or something like that, and if you pay him a gold, he'll teleport you to the last checkpoint that you passed. So it's a really cool way if you're just trying to get through this jumping puzzle and you don't care how much money you spend, you just want to get through it because you hate jumping puzzles. You pay gold, and for an hour you can just, every time you fall off the edge, you can go back to the last checkpoint you passed. But this is also another thing is that now they've added this reviving mechanic. So no matter where you fall, no matter where you die, a Skrit will come out and revive you. And this, I feel like, is one of those the quality of life things that, removing it only removed frustration. It didn't remove any difficulty, it didn't remove anything from it. It just got rid of the frustration. So instead of dying and having to waypoint back and spend money and yada yada yada, it kind of feels a lot more natural to progress through the puzzle, and I love it. And I didn't feel like it was frustrating. I spent easily an hour on the puzzle, and I have to say that halfway through I got motion sick because of the way the camera angles are and the darkness. And I think that's just me. I haven't seen anyone else complain about it. I do get motion sick. But I went away, came back, and did it again, and tried to finish it. But the whole time, I didn't feel like I wanted to pull out my hair. Like, I remember the Aether Blade jumping puzzle. I was so angry because it was stupid. It was like, like I lagged for a second when I was on the jumping platforms, and that just screwed the whole thing. I had to start all over again. I was really pulling my hair out for that one, but this one I didn't feel that way. So I really loved it, and I just love the fact that the progression of the whole jumping puzzle takes you across the map to the other side of the map. And the character of it, the script just make it feel awesome. So I just loved it. What about you, Ron? Did you really like it?
I completely agree. Like Kaysee took me through it last night, kind of at midnight my time. I was like, I'm gonna get sleep and do the show, but we did it in like an hour, I think, or so. And
I remember because
go on. Go on, what were you saying?
When we started, the thing was like a new patch will be available in an hour, and Rowan had trouble with clipping into the rock, and he's like, we've got to finish it before the update, which was an hour, because I don't want to get clipped into a rock again and have to start all over again. So we did it in an hour, so that was really good.
Yeah, I basically lagged out. Well, I think it was Guild Wars 2 servers, something happened, and I was on top of a rock, and then I came back in, and Kaysee was like, are you underneath that rock? And there was no way for me to get out, so I had to start that again. But we weren't too far in.
No.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And anyone who's seen this podcast before knows I am not a fan of jumping puzzles. But I honestly really like this one. There were very few horrible camera angles when you're playing a char where you're like properly zoomed in, and it's just like it's just the size of it as well. Like when we got to the end, I was like, holy crap, we're at the other end of the map, and Kaysee was like, yeah, it's the whole map. And I was like, oh my god.
I have a question for you. Did you find like being led, because I kind of knew the way, so I kind of just led you along, did that take away from the enjoyment, or did you still find it the jumping? I
still found it like really enjoyable. I'm probably, because of my hate for jumping puzzles, I probably wouldn't have bothered to like work it out myself. Even though it's a great jumping puzzle, they're fun, but I'd rather spend my time doing other stuff if like given the opportunity between, do I work out where this script tunnel leads, or do I go and farm some dungeons?
Because this one actually has it likes to trick you. Like there's 3 script tunnels, and 2 of them will take you to this pot of boiling water, and one of them will be the right way. And so it is completely a thing of trial and error, and so it does take a lot of time to figure it out. And I don't want to like blow my own horn here, but I figured it out myself. I spent the time, and like I did 90% of it, and then a commander came along with a group of like all these ducklings, not real ducklings, but people like following like ducklings, because he was like obviously the commander of the jumping puzzle and he knew the way. And I was like, okay, I'll join on this, quack. But yeah, no, I was very proud of myself, and I actually found that sort of thing fun, like finding my own way. I actually did find enjoyable, and it wasn't stupid. Like some of the jumping puzzles, like the Blade puzzle, is like if you get it wrong, it just smashes you in the face, and you But I need to calm down.
It's just a jumping puzzle, dear.
Yeah, I know. We haven't got any comments of a lot of people saying they haven't had a chance to do it, but they've heard good things.
Yeah, I think you have to invest time into it to do it. If you're not being led by, like I was with you do have to invest time into it. But I honestly, as someone who hates jumping puzzle, I do recommend you go and check it out, because it is quite cool. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, so that's it for the jumping puzzle. I'll just quickly say, sorry, I keep on talking over you. The script SS Topsy Turvy, which is the upside down boat, they actually have like these 2 script are at these planning boards, and there's like a plan for the ship, and there's like little Tyrion writing, and it's so cute, man. And it actually can be translated, and some of the translations are really cool. There's a Reddit post about it. I'll see if I can put that in the chat. But there's some of the things that are on there are just really cute, like male bacon, and another one is groom the kit, and how many buckets needed to remove. Oh no, I think it was how many buckets to fill the cavern with water, and it was like some ridiculous amount of numbers with so many zeros. But yeah, I'll put that in the chat now. Yeah, so that was just very interesting, I thought. The whole documents to be translated.
It seems like they're including more of them lately, which I think is quite a nice way to get like little snippets of lore and stuff into the game.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't have any lore.
Well, I know, but yeah.
I agree. It adds atmosphere. That's, you know. And talking about atmosphere, there's the kit in that. I just love Script so much. I actually just burst into tears and be like, I just love Kit so much. There's a little like pool with all these kit around, which are the baby Script, sorry. And there's an adult Script watching them, but the baby kit are dancing around and jumping and playing, and they're cheering on these 3 boats in the water. And these boats are floating on, but you actually look closer and the boats are upside down. The sail is underwater and it's just the top of the boat, like all the kit are cheering, you know, like, God, I hope they don't get water into that area because they're all going to drown. It was very cute, very cute. So, I should move on.
From cute Script to cute armor. There we go, there's a good segue for you.
Classy. That was top-notch segueing right there. So, if you watch the show, you know that I love the carapace armor. I have feels for this carapace armor, and I make it my mission every week to get the carapace armor and the luminous. Is that how you say it? Luminescent skins each time. So there has been a little bit of problem with the way that the carapace armor and the luminescent.
You get a gold star.
Yay! It would just laugh if I had a chart behind me. It's like Kaysee didn't screw up on the podcast. I just put a little star there every time. So it's actually quite. It kind of muddles your head a little bit trying to get all these armors. And one of the problems I have is I don't like how it's not consistent getting every, you know, like you'd expect the way that you get the shoulders to be the same way as you get the gloves, and that really annoys me that it's not consistent. So I just wrote out how you get these, and hopefully this might help you. So each shoulder for the carapace armor, the shoulder skins can be received,
just in case people don't know what shoulders are.
Yeah. Shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. So the shoulder pieces can be received by doing the living story, and if you have 3 alts, you can actually do the living story 3 times, that chapter 3 times, and get it on, you know, get for different characters, and you can get each box, so you can get 3 boxes that way, which is better than spending 1,000 bandit crests, you know, in the Silver Waste. As for the gloves, only 1 can be received from the living story. The other 2, and when I say the other 2, I mean heavy, medium, and light armor. Sorry, I should have clarified that. So you can get your choice of 1 heavy, medium, or light, and if you want to get the other armor classes, you need to buy them from the bandit crest vendor. And that will cost you 2,000 crests altogether, so they're 1,000 each. You can, however, get very lucky and receive them from the Mordrum champs that happen during the breach. That happens very rarely. For the legs, you can receive them by doing the living story 3 times on alt characters. So you do it 3 times on alternate characters, you get 3 boxes. As for the boots, you don't get them at all through the living story. You have to do a Script event in the silver waist. I'm not entirely sure which one, but there is one. I think it's protecting them from bandits. And then you get a requisition order, which means you can buy boot chests from the bandit crest vendor. God, this is difficult. I hope this is making sense for you guys. And you can unlock the ability. You can only unlock the ability to buy them, and then it will cost you a further 1,000 per armor class to get 1,000. Bandit crest to get each armor class skin. So that's 3k bandit crest for the heavy, medium, and light skins of the boots. So it's confusing. Like, if you guys are confused, I am confused, and I wrote it down, and I've got it in front of me right here, and I'm having trouble explaining it. So it is difficult, and it is not easy, and I do not like the inconsistency. I don't like how you can receive some of them from all three of them from Living Story. I don't like how some of you can't receive at all. I dislike inconsistency. I don't know if that's just me being anal, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people agree with me on that.
I kind of agree, but I kind of agree, but I kind of see a little bit why they've done it as well, just to try and mix it up and get people doing different things, so it doesn't feel like, oh, I just have to do the story again. Yay, I get my carapace armor. It's kind of more like you have to actively go and work for it a little bit. I mean, for me, probably a lot of people hate me for this. I'm not that bothered about getting more than one set of the armor, because I haven't actually like chosen if I want like medium, heavy, or light for any of the pieces yet. So I'm just waiting to see like if any of my characters would ever use it. So for me, it doesn't affect me that much, but I can definitely see why, if you want all three weights, it's definitely annoying with different ways.
Yeah, this leads into the conversation about the luminescent skins, because to get the luminescent skin, you need to have all the pieces, the heavy, light, and medium, and plus a whole lot of other things to get the luminous skins. And it really, like, you need a guide. You seriously need a guide or an IQ that is capable of rocket scientist. And you can see by the way I screwed up that sentence right there, that I do not have the IQ of a rocket scientist. So I have, like, it's difficult. But with the luminescent skins, you need also these extra things. Like, normally what they do is they ask you to get an item. Like, for example, you extract an item every time you kill a Mordrim champion in the Silver Wastes. So, for example, the gloves, you needed one fang from every Mordrim champion. For the shoulders, you needed one tendon. But this is where it changes. For the legs, you need 2 spleen bladders, and you combine them into one. So you need to kill the boss twice, get the extracted item twice, and then combine them together, and then you have the bladder, and then you combine it, and it works with the collections. Once you've collected every single item, then you get the luminous skins. For the shoes, you actually only need 1 spleen, and so obviously for the major pieces, the chest and the leggings, you need 2 and then combine them into 1, and for the smaller, like the gloves, shoulders, and shoes, you only need 1. But my head is hurting. It seriously is hurting right now. So I need a minute here.
She needs it.
It's just really confusing, and there's really, it's messy. That's the word for it. It is messy, and I do not like messy. But it is a small complaint. Even if it is messy, I just wish it was consistent messy, but,
Is that a thing? Consistent messy?
I don't know. But I'm just going to quickly, before I go on, just to give me a breather, I'm going to say some things from chat. And Mr. Neo says, I got 2 boot boxes from Bandit Chest saved, and that saved me some credits, the Bandit Crests. Only really farming it for a free piece of Ascended Armor, because if you get all the luminescent skins, you get a free piece of ascended armor. And then plus it would be a nice farm during the break after the last episode. And It's Bad Company says you also need to get the Vetra's seared ring, which is 10 gold and 1k crest for the luminous legs. Thank you. I actually didn't realize that. I assumed that it was the ring that you get for completing all the achievements for the for the story, but I actually noticed that the legs had something a little bit different, had a ring that was a bit different, and now it's obviously you have to buy it from the thing. So, you need a guide. My head seriously hurts. I'm not smart. I'm not. Oh, that sounds awful. I'm not smart, guys. No. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. And you imagine if you're a newer player, and anyway. So, on one hand, I really like that this is a hard thing to get. I don't think it should be hard just because it's difficult to understand. I think it should be hard because it's hard work. But I do like that this skin is hard work. Don't get me wrong. I think the idea of actually getting the tendons or getting the splatters from the bosses is a great idea. I love the farming of the area. I do enjoy it. I don't think that the game should really hurt my brain. That's all I'm saying. And one thing I really like is after every week, after a new episode comes out, a certain extractor comes out. The bandit crest vendors sell these extractors for specific parts. So it actually, after a week, it becomes easier to get the parts that you need. So, I like that. I do like that a lot. But however, it is a grind to get these pieces. Don't get me wrong. Grinding for the crests is time, effort, and hard work. But it kind of has a few people worried about how this content will be achievable when Silver Waste is old. Because at the moment, everyone's playing it. Everyone wants to get the chest. Everyone's in there. So what's it going to be like when, there's not going to be so many people on the map, or they're off doing another living story thing or something like that. So it is concerning.
I mean, we've touched on that before in previous episodes. I mean, I think we mentioned before that Arena probably, hopefully, has thought about that in terms of a way to make it easier to obtain with less people. I don't know. It's just gonna be one of those things we'll have to wait and see. But one thing I find interesting from this is that we now know that Mordrum champions have bladders inside them.
They have to pee.
They do. So that's...
Can you just imagine like a little husk squatting down behind a bush? There's no bushes in the Silver Waste big enough, so there's this tiny little bush and he's squatting down and some adventurer comes along and he's weeing and he's like, don't look at me, don't look at me. That's what I imagine.
So moving on from that then.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about... going back to the story aspect of this patch and the length of it, which has had a couple of people talking about it a little bit, and we were talking about this last night as well. So a lot of people again feel it's a relatively short episode, and it is basically, compared to some of the releases we've had in this season, it is quite a short episode. There's 3 story instances, I think, which is the same as last time. And yeah, I was kind of a bit like, no way does it end here. I think I messaged you like, it does not end here. Like when you just stood
all caps.
Yeah. When you just stood outside that door like, oh, let's go back to the Priory. I was like, what? Like we're here now. Let's just go in.
Yeah, it's like, I've got a hammer. I can break down this door.
It's like, I've killed Zaitan. That bit of rock is not going to stop me.
Yeah. I like that.
But yeah, so I mean, again, like, I think, was it last patch we speculated that this patch we'd be seeing something to do with Ritlock, and we haven't seen anything like that yet, so that's kind of being strung along a little bit.
That's weird, huh? Like, they added the teaser image and everything, like, and then nope, no Ritlock.
It feels like they've kind of forgotten about it ever since Caithe stole the egg, and it's all like, oh yeah, Ritlock's gone, but Caithe has got this egg now. Like that, it feels like they've just kind of forgotten that that's happening.
Some guy, I reckon one of the writers is trying to kill a Ritlock, and all the other writers like fighting against it, like any chance I can get. I think it's more of a case of that they have a story written up, but it's hard to put the story in, like, you only have a limited amount you can do in one patch, so it's not, I don't think it's a case of that they're forgotten, but rather like they really don't have the time to do with it, to do it with him yet, you know, that sort of thing. And it might be the case that, you know, when we find Caithe, it has something to do with the Ridlock or something, but I don't know. I'm not really. I know you love Ridlock, so that's probably why you're very
I need Ridlock in my life.
Where is
again.
Ridlock?
Where's my baby? But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of feel like they shouldn't have released all those teaser images for him if they weren't immediately ready to do something with him, because it kind of got everyone hyped. And I mean, you and I were talking about it and speculating on him, and even GuildMag had a post about what his blindfold meant and all that, and then it's just kind of died down again, and it's nothing's really happening with him, and I just want my baby back. In the
want my baby back. Yeah.
But yeah, so aside from that, I'm hoping they're building up to something really big, because we said this about the last episode, that we felt like this patch would be like a really big thing they were building up to. And you mentioned like it can't be all dramatic, always on all the time. There has to be like a few downtime patches. But when I get inside that cave or whatever it is, and I feel like there has to be something that makes me go, oh my god, to justify the shortness of the patch.
Well, don't forget, the whole story with Caithe and Valiant is that the story is that when the two of them found unimaginable evil, darkness, whatever, and Valiant embraced it and Caithe turned away from it. So whatever's in that cave, I imagine, is going to be the unimaginable evil that, you know, one of them turned into and one turned away from. So next patch has to have something kind of like, you know, but I imagine it would be something like the unimaginable evil is just like something to do with Mordrim or Mordremoth. They just saw Mordremoth and
they just saw Mordremoth, and then it confirms that Nightmare Court is to do with Mordremoth, and everyone's like,
everyone's like, yeah, we already knew that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, like, you said to me that you didn't like the shorter episodes. I actually was a little bit opposite, in the sense of that I feel like there's only a 2-week development cycle, and expecting kind of more than what we're getting right now is a bit unreasonable. Like, we see the Q&A is really troublesome on these shorter the 2-week development cycle, and asking for more is just pushing that limit too much. There's actually a Reddit post that I saw that sums up all the content we received in the last year. It kind of amounts to the same amount we would get in an expansion. So I think that asking for more is like kind of like, yeah, it'd be great, but you know what we're gonna get is, you know, more bugs and problems, and you know, I think that for a 2-week development cycle, this is quite reasonable in my opinion.
So while we're talking about expansions, and actually we were talking about this last night, I thought it might be interesting just to bring it up now then. So I think it was last episode, I can't quite remember, we mentioned about NCSoft in their Q3 earnings report, basically saying they were ready to announce their expansion plans for Guild Wars 2, and then we heard nothing. And Kaysee and I were talking about this last night while we were in the jumping puzzle, and it was kind of a bit weird that we heard nothing. Other people I was talking in GuildMag kind of didn't really expect to hear anything anyway, because they were like, if we, you know, with NCSoft, if we hear anything when they tell us to, it's a bonus. Like,
they don't abide by their own deadlines.
But yeah, we were talking about what would constitute being an expansion versus like the living world stuff, and how like it seems like Arena are really set on the living world, but I kind of said there's no reason that we can't have both in the living world, can't like tie into the expansion. Like, we have all this Mortimer stuff, and then in the actual expansion we actually go and get to kill him, kind of thing. But it's just something that I wanted to bring up, and because I thought it was interesting we were talking about it last night. So yeah. Bringing out some things for chat. Tom Miller. Oh my god, I'm so sorry with names. I'm worse than you with names. Quote marks, the same as an expansion. That's quite important point. With the microtransactions, IMO, that is the way instead of expansions to get the cash flow.
I think that was the original plan.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like they have to have an expansion because so many people want an expansion, and I really want an expansion to Guild Wars 2 just to have something new and fresh like in the game. I feel like they kind of have to go down that route at some point. Anyway, that's a whole big topic.
Well, Sign Crony said that they thought that I was thinking that they would reveal something at the end of season 2, and Toliat massively sort of confirmed that stuff was in the work with stuff with this. That's what we were saying. We think that they're going to announce it at the end of season 2. Like, season 2 is going to end on this cliffhanger, and they're going to be like, and the story concludes in the expansion. That sort of thing. But yeah, and Mr. Neo says, well, there has to be something. We already know that there are only about 20 or 30 members of the Living Story team. So what is everyone else working on? That is a very good point. Yeah. They're having a wonderful holiday.
So then, carrying on with the stuff from the patch, do you want to...
Yep. So with the patch, some new things came out. There's a new weapon, which is the Eternal Sands Focus, which, if you remember doing not last patch, the patch before, there was the Glint's lair was hidden inside of a little hourglass of sand. Yes. And you remember touching it and you got transported into Glint's lair. Well, now you can get that as a focus, which is kind of cool, but it's really hard to make. It's one of those little special things that is quite difficult to make. I haven't seen one in game yet. Sorry?
I haven't seen one in game. Carry on there.
There's changes to UI that have come up. For example, the character select is a bit different now, and there's some other things. I don't know. The salvaging. Sorry, guys. Salvaging highlighting is a bit different now. For example, before there was a lot of trouble with salvaging wouldn't highlight properly. Now that works right. And there's also, when new items come out, they will glow white, and I hate that for some reason, but I turned it off.
I completely agree. Like, if they literally just stayed white instead of glowing at me, I wouldn't mind it, but it's just there like, I'm here, I'm like, I know you're there, like.
And like when you're opening what's it called, champion bags, your whole inventory is white, and it's like a whole kindergarten full of kids screaming, look at me in your inventory. So yeah, no, I totally agree. And there's new male couriers. I keep on trying to say courtiers, male courtiers, which sounds like a whole different industry. Male courier customization with previews. So just like the finishers, we get previews for the new, like, how normally it's the pigeon going flap, 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 and then it flies off. Or
you know what? I honestly forgot that it was even a thing until this came out, because I've never once even noticed it, like, in game.
You kidding?
Literally,
really?
Since I've been playing, since beta weekends, I have never once noticed it.
Always in a dungeon, someone will be standing there like AFK, and then you'll see like a bird flapping off, and you're like, oh, someone's selling something on trading post. We're not good enough for you. Get your ass back in the dungeon. That's how I feel about that. I just got all sassy ghetto on everyone. But no, I see it a lot. I always notice it.
Well, segueing that then, so our opinions on the male customization. Like, again, we were talking about this last night, and I'm kind of meh about it. Like I said to you, I'd rather they spent their time developing other like skins and stuff rather than stuff that I personally don't care about is what kind of animal brings me my things in game. Like, at the end of the day, I don't really care as long as I get those items. So
Yeah.
and like I said, I've literally never noticed it once. So I'd forgotten it even was a thing until this came out.
Well, do you buy the unlimited things like the sickles and the logging things?
No. You see,
Well, I guess it's the same. Like, it's a vanity thing. It's a vanity item.
I honestly rarely buy things from. I've bought more stuff from the gem store for other people than I have for myself. So
That's true. You do a lot of buying for other people.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think
personally,
about it?
Thank you. Personally, I quite like it. I think it's a great way to bring in money through the gem store without affecting gameplay. I mean, it's just a vanity item. It's just for people who have extra money, who want to spend cash on making their pixels look better. And I like it. I think this is the way the gem store should be, that sort of item. And this might come in a little bit later because it's data mined. We'll talk about this later, that there's going to be tier 6 materials like orichalcum nodes in your home instance, and that to me is not the right way to go around about it. You know, like that sort of stuff affects gameplay, whereas the mail courier, it doesn't affect gameplay whatsoever. Like, no matter what mail courier you have, you're not going to have an advantage in the game unless you're trying to seduce someone with a pigeon. Anyway, I don't know where that came from. I don't know. I just imagine like some girl there and a guy's trying to impress her, and he's like, "Hey, baby, my pigeon's got style. My pigeon's got swag." And the girl's like, "Oh, let me be your girlfriend."
Oh,
that's what I imagine.
Valentine's Day, they're just going to release like a dove or something, aren't they? It's going to be like dove will fly down and give you your
Cupid.
mail. Oh my god.
Oh, let it be a script with wings and a little Cupid bow. Oh, I want it so bad.
You see, they've hooked you now. You're just gonna. You see, they've hooked you on this mail customization.
They really have. They really have. Anyway, okay, let's keep going because we're running out of time. We ran out of time.
Wait.
Let's just keep going.
So you got your knickers in a twist.
Yes. Well.
What?
I have this whole paragraph, but we just don't have enough time, so I'm going to sum it up as quick as I can. So there is in the new chapter, there is a bit of a lore inconsistency with a previous known lore regarding which Sylvari died first. Previously, Kaysee said Rhiannoc died first, and you actually explore this in the in the personal story. However, in this most recent living story, it's actually kind of messed up. The timeline's a bit messed up, and it seems like some nameless second-born die first. And this is a bit of a bummer. You know, it's obviously a mistake or an oversight by someone. But the reason that it's actually in this, otherwise I wouldn't have even brought it up, was just how horrible people are being about it. And the drama that goes on about, like, people going, like, you know, saying that, you know, they failed, and, you know, this whole nastiness about it, you know, like putting people down because of a mistake they made. And when you really think about it, like, I just want people to consider, like, these are people too. I mean, they have other things. It's hard to explain. Like, this is a job, I agree, but people make mistakes. And for a mistake to be made, this is quite a minor one. It is kind of like just basically who died first. I mean, it's not law changing. This doesn't change the whole fabric or basis of the whole Sylvari thing. And there's also some simple little explanations that can be explained away, and in the end it's just one of those things that I think is just quite easily looked over. You look at it and you go, yes, someone's made a mistake. This sucks because it kind of messes with the law a little bit and no one really knows anymore. I want them to do better, but the nastiness that is coming out towards the writers, especially on Reddit, is just something I can't condone. And on the same vein, I just wanted to mention, like, people go, oh, you know, it should be so easy for them to remember lore, but, you know, even prolific writers like R.R. Martins has admitted that they have a law guy, that they call up and say, this guy, I want to put him in this book in a scene, but I can't remember if he's alive or not. And the guy would be like, actually, that guy died. He died in the first book or something like that. So this sort of retention of all the law, just if you just know how much massive amount of lore there is in this game, and the 2-week development cycle that, kind of limits the time they have to have so many people checking it, I think this is a tiny mistake, and it's one that I hope Reddit will not blow out of proportion, because they are good writers, that people make mistakes. It is simply game lore. It's not like they're mistaking history and condemning a whole race of people. I just wanted to put my little 2 cents out there that, guys, people, these are people too. They're just like you. They make mistakes. Just be gracious about it and show your love for human. I don't know. Just be nice, okay? Stop being dicks is what I wrote, but I shouldn't have said that. So that is my piece. That is Casey's little rant, knickers in a twist, Casey's corner thing.
It's going to be a weekly segment.
It's just me being like, my catchphrase is, stop being dicks, guys. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say dicks. Anyway, kid, go. Just stop saying dicks. Stop saying dicks.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, go. Next.
Okay, so this is having an explicit tag on iTunes. We're just going to briefly glance over a couple of the things we want to point out. As always, well, I shouldn't say as always, that sounds really bad, but there's some bugs in this patch. And Kaysee pointed this one out to me yesterday. I didn't know it. So apparently, the water table's risen, and you hear sometimes.
Sometimes, all the time for me.
Okay, well, you all the time hear like you're sloshing around in water when you're walking. Is this only in the Silver Wastes?
Yeah. Oh, no. It's everywhere. I've heard, as people have also complained about it in PvP as well, that area as well. It's so annoying. It gets something. I think I'm just really grumpy this week because it gets to me. I go, this is sand. Why is this wet? And I feel like when you see sand and you're sloshing around and you see the splashes at your feet, I feel dirty. I feel like I need to change my socks because they're all water ridden. Please go on.
Another bug that I actually don't know about this too. Looking for group tool is likely to give someone epilepsy. What's going on with that? Because I haven't seen it yet.
They're looking for group tool now, infinitely refreshes, and it kind of glitches out. It will say that there's a party there, and then it will flash it away, and then flash it there, and then flash it away, and it will just keep on flashing parties, and it's actually broken. For some people, I've tried to join parties, and it will just flash so much that I can't join the party, and it's just painful. And the flashing, I can't have it open. Normally I keep it open if I'm doing something and I'm in an empty silver waste, and I'll keep it open and look for when someone's advertising for a silver waste to taxi to, but now I can't do it because it's just flashing all the time, and it freaking annoys me. Just I'm probably annoying people by doing this. But yes, no, it's terrible. Continue.
Trouble with the trading post and guild personal banks again. Do you know what's going on with that one?
Apparently, people are having trouble accessing guild banks. I think it's a very low amount of people, low percentage, and personal banks and guild banks there's some trouble, and apparently some people are also having trouble with the trading post as well. I haven't experienced it. It's been totally fine for me, but for some other people it's been a bit painful.
Interesting. So it's kind of weird. Some of these bugs are kind of weird how you can break things just by introducing a couple of new story instances. I've honestly never understood this. Anyone who plays League of Legends, every time a new champion comes out on that, something else breaks that's completely unrelated. And I just don't see how it happens in games. I
swear, it's one of those things, when you don't, it's one of those things where the people who are the devs, they see it. They're everything is interconnected. It is a web of, all these sort of things. And everyone else is how could this affect it? And it's just the way system is probably written, or the programming language, or I'm actually pretending to be a lot more knowledgeable about this sort of stuff than I actually am. I have no idea. But I sounded smart, right?
You sounded great. So yeah, so that's it for the bugs. We're just going to briefly go over some data mined stuff and then we're done. So a data mined Caithe dragon mask from Guild Wars 1. This is interesting. So I'll just link quickly the image in Twitch chat. It looks quite cool. Do we think it's going to have any use anywhere?
I think it's going to be one of those things that just pops up, you know, like, hey, Emperor Guild Wars 1, buy me. And then, like, there has no story relevance whatsoever. It's just going to be like a skin.
I mean, I'm trying to think of when it could be released. I have a feeling maybe around Chinese New Year time. Because they tend to put this stuff in quite early. Compared to, like, when it actually gets released. Because I know that human noble outfit thing that was released a while ago, we were speculating on that like months before it came out. So
that's true. That's very true.
I have a feeling that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, we thought it was going to come out for the Queen's Gauntlet, and then it came out for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some other data mine things. Your punctuation and grammar in these notes is not helping me.
I like to make it difficult.
So ghostly, comma, confetti and gift. Oh! So 3 couriers. Yeah. I get it. I'm so smart.
Yeah. So I don't know what they look like. There's just the words have been data mined, obviously.
And then Pale Tree Avatar Mini and Drubert's Ghost. We talked about that one last episode. Yeah, still too soon.
Yep.
And then obviously the Home 6 instance, Tier 6 collectibles, the Orichalcum, Elderwood, Omnon Berries. We've already talked about that. And then Caithe's Dagger and Welding Torch.
Yeah, so you know how in Camp Resolve there's the char that go around welding, and it's like, you know, that is now a torch, apparently. Well, it's coming out maybe as a torch.
That's quite cool.
I like Caithe daggers. They looked...
I like them. They were quite pretty. I actually wasn't sure until now if they were like already in game or not, because they just look like, when I first saw them I thought they kind of look like Ascended daggers, like in the design of them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think they look more like the Tormented weapons.
Yeah, actually,
yeah, because it's a bit there, but yeah, but no, they're different. They're little blossoms at the end. They're special.
Quite cool. Little blossom at the end.
I just imagine.
Here's a flower as I'm killing you. It's like.
Yeah, I love how so pretty. I like to imagine that to get this item you need to do a few things, and one of the things involves sneaking into Caithe's house while she's not there and like lifting a few things, you know, like that's how you get it.
And so yeah, that is everything we were going to cover this week. Do you have anything else you want to bring up?
Don't be dicks.
Casey's phrase of the week. So yeah, big thank you.
I can just imagine a meme, like a GIF, and there's like a subtitle underneath me just being like, "Don't be dicks."
So yeah, big thank you to everyone who's joined us live, and if you're not watching this live, we are live. I've said that like live 3 times now. live.
We're
live.
You said enough, Rowan.
Live. Twitch.tv/GuildMag every Thursday at 10 AM GMT. So make sure you do come and join us if you can.
We love hearing your opinion, guys. So
we really do.
If you can't make it to the show, like, we do like you to come to the show. Because we can get all your comments and stuff. But if you do have comments that you really want to say, you have opinions, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't agree with them, channel that into a lovely letter, email, a nice one. Don't be mean. I can see Ron's face is a bit worried. We're going to get some nasty emails. Channel that into a nice letter, an email, contact@gmail.com. GuildMag.com and tell us your opinions on the show, and we might read them out in the next show. We'd love hearing your opinions, guys.
Absolutely. And to end it, since Sai and Crony, it's just reminded me actually, we're probably also going to be having a Winter's Day special episode, like not as big as we did with Halloween, but it'll still have lots of games and things going on, and that'll probably be on the 18th, so in 2 weeks time. I'm saying probably because we've literally only just remembered we have to organise one like an hour before the show. So
yeah. And like the closest episode to Christmas we have is on Christmas, which obviously we'll both be skipping. So we will keep you guys updated next week with more info what's going to be happening to do with that. So do make sure you can join us live on the 18th if at all possible. And that's it from me and Kaysee for this week. So we will see you next week for episode 15. So and next week we have a special guest on. I won't tell you who it is, but we should do our little we should do hints on Twitter and like feed information to them during the week. So join us on Twitter. It's GuildMag.
Yeah, at GuildMag on Twitter.
GuildMag.
Do little hints. We're all super secret about it, and then come and see who it is next week. So we will see you in 7 days. Bye guys.
See you.